Hey guys, so I know I'm a little behind, and that Monday Night Raw for this week has already happened, but let's go ahead and let's talk about last week. Not necessarily every segment, but just hitting some of the highlights as far as what is going to end up occurring pertaining to the storylines that we currently have. So one of those, of course, being that we were supposed to have a title match for the women's tag titles, and we did get that. And so let's just address this, okay? So Lita ends up getting attacked, and now as soon as this happens, and I realize that irregardless who it was that did it, she's getting taken out of this match. And when I realized the match is still going to happen and that Becky is still going to take on Raquel and Liv, but with Trish Stratus, I see where this is going. Okay? There had been talk about Trish turning on Becky. Many expected that to happen at WrestleMania, or maybe even that Monday night after WrestleMania, and it didn't happen. Well, as soon as I saw that Trish was going to take Lita's spot, I realized this is the night. Now, as much as I like Becky as a champion, and she is my favorite, I understood that this was not going to be a long title reign for her, right? When I get to thinking about this, and at first my thought process was that the ones that were going to take the titles off Becky and Lita were going to be Ronda and Shayna, and that it didn't make that much sense to have Raquel and Liv get that number one contendership opportunity. I got to thinking more about it, and I realized that while Ronda has history with Becky, she doesn't necessarily have history with Lita. And Lita doesn't really have history with either Ronda or Shayna. But Raquel and Liv do have some history there. And there is kind of a storyline already built into that. So it makes more sense if you're going to eventually put those titles on Ronda and Shayna, which I have no doubt is the route that they're going. It makes sense to have Liv and Raquel be the champions. And it makes sense to have that turn from Trish come on that show and during that title match, right? Now, the part that I didn't... Well, I enjoyed the fact that Trish turned, and I do, and I think that this feud is going to be decent between Becky and Trish. I feel like there was something kind of missing from it. I feel like there have been other turns that have happened where there has been a little more viciousness in there, and I feel like there was not necessarily as much of that there from Trish. And I don't know, I think some people are playing that up more, that vicious attack by Trish, and it really wasn't that vicious, I don't think. We've seen a lot worse. She didn't really lose control. So I guess I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from her. Other noteworthy things, though, that did happen. So, I mean, Becky and Trish lost that match. Liv and Raquel are the new champions, and that's great. I think Liv and Raquel are going to do fantastic, and hopefully they'll give them some time, and they'll let them enjoy it a little bit before they take them off of them. One other thing that we did end up getting from this show was a call out from Cody to Brock Lesnar. Not necessarily to come out, but to Brock Lesnar for a match at SummerSlam, which is now official. So that will be fun. I'm okay with that. I think it's going to be okay. Some matches that we had. So we had Finn Balor and Rey Mysterio. That was a decent match. It gave them some time. Kind of continues that storyline. Which led into some things for this week that we'll talk about in the video this weekend. I have Saturday off, so I should be able to get that out on Saturday. So then we had the championship match. We had what did we have? We had the match of Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed, which ended in a double count out. That was alright, and it's getting both of them on the card and showcasing them, I think, and it's giving us a little different match than we've seen before. So that's good. I like that. We had the Usos in the Alpha Academy. This is a little different for the Usos. I don't know that we've necessarily seen this match, so that's good. Yeah, I like that they're kind of switching some things up there and giving us some different matches. And I think we're going to get even more of that with the draft coming up, which will be nice. Now, another piece that I think is interesting from the show that I want to highlight. So Bayley was in talking to Adam Pearce because there was going to be a triple threat match already decided for that match with Piper Niven and Mia Yim. So Bayley got herself inserted into this match, and this is one time where I appreciate the way that Io was speaking when Bayley came out. She was using her own language, which made her feel comfortable. It didn't make it seem awkward. But she was able to get her point across that Io and Dakota were tired of all of those opportunities going to Bayley. That one of them deserved that opportunity instead of her. Bayley had not been a champion since she came back, but Io and Dakota were champions, or had been, in that time frame. So one of them deserved that opportunity, which ended up being Io. And she was a great addition to that triple threat match. But what this does is, ahead of the draft, it gives you that idea that there could be that unrest in Damage Control. And you've already kind of seen it with Io and Dakota with some of the matches that Bayley has accepted on their behalf, especially when they were still champions, and she was accepting these championship matches on their behalf, and you could tell that they weren't necessarily happy about it by the facial expressions. They didn't outright say it, but you could sense it, and so this gives you another little tidbit that kind of leads you to that idea that they may be splitting by finally Io and Dakota stepping up and saying, you know, we really feel like one of us deserves that. What about us? So you went in there and you did this. You got yourself a championship match. And you're making it appear as though you're doing this for us and as though this is going to benefit us by then. You're going to then insert your power as the Raw Women's Champion to try to get us something. But we feel like you should instead be using your influence as the role model and as a former champion to get us into that match, as we have already proven ourselves as champions. We've already proven ourselves by defending that title, because they did. Regardless whether Bayley helped them or not, doesn't really matter. Right? They defended those titles, and actually, they're two-time champions, I do believe. Please in the comments, let me know if I'm wrong about that. But I believe that they are two-time champions because I feel like they lost it somewhere and then gained it back. But at any rate, they've certainly proven themselves in that championship category, right? So that match was okay. It wasn't necessarily great, but it wasn't bad. And I like the fact that Io came out on top of that match, and she has earned her opportunity. We don't know yet for sure when we're going to end up getting that match, but we will see. So then we end up with a match of Kevin Owens taking on Solo Sikoa. Now, I don't think Sammy was there at the time. He does end up showing up. I do believe he runs in at the last second. But it turned out okay at the end of the match. So Solo ends up winning. And we continue this whole thought process of Kevin Owens, the Usos, that whole battle we've got going on there with Matt Riddle coming out and making the save there. And then Sammy ends up coming out to make that save as well, because he does end up arriving. So that is what we end up with there for Monday Night Raw. Alright, so we're going to switch on over to SmackDown for the week. So one of the big things from SmackDown, we ended up getting the return of Shinsuke Nakamura, which is really nice. So he's been doing kind of his own little things, which is good for him. It is. It was kind of exciting to have him back. We had LA Knight taking on Xavier Woods. And that was a fun little match. Kind of something different for both of them. It's them both on the card. And they haven't really had anything really solid for them to do. So that'll be good for them. We had a match with Damian Priest and Santos Escobar. And that was, again, a little something different. Still continuing that idea of the new Latin World Order having its issues with the Judgment Day. And we'll see where that continues to go. So, Nakamura came back and he ended up taking on Madcap Moss. Now, so I'm glad that Nakamura is back. I wasn't really sure what to make of this match in that both of these two guys have been portrayed as baby faces right now. So I don't know where exactly this goes from here. And we're going to have to see what continues from this storyline as to whether one of them is going to take on those heel characteristics, which could happen now with Madcap Moss essentially team up with Emma, being together with her. We'll see where this goes. We did get a tease from Karrion Kross afterwards. And it sounds like he is now going to be going after Shinsuke. So, what this kind of leads me to believe is that Shinsuke is going to continue to in that more babyface character, as Karrion Kross is most definitely staying a heel character, and he's doing it very well. So I don't know that the actual match for Shinsuke and Moss was actually really going anywhere. It just was a way to get them both on the card, which is good. We then had Matt Riddle against Solo Sikoa. That kind of continues that whole scenario there. Solo Sikoa again picks up the victory, which we'll kind of get into when we go over this week of wrestling. We'll kind of go into more of that because, of course, Solo ends up on that card again, which is good. He's getting a lot of great TV time, and they're really showing how really destructive he can be, which when they do eventually set up that match between him and Roman, which I feel like is coming down the road, that's really going to help him there. Those are the main points of both of the shows for this week. Just kind of continuing some of the storylines leading into Backlash. And we will see where this week goes. Alrighty. Don't forget to like and hit that follow button. And subscribe. Thanks.